So the good news is that today is going to sound familiar to those of you who saw last week. So before we go any further, especially with all the techno stuff, let's just take a moment to literally exhale. We're going to start our week with some deep breath work, some reminders, some grounding, some settling, some really some excitement, bringing in something new, setting intentions for the week. All of those things are options to us when we're in this framework. We don't have to subject ourselves to whatever the week throws our way. We actually have the ability to command our day and command our week. And that's what I want us to think about when we come into this space, when we come into this room, that this is a bit of predictive analysis almost. You know, that's part of what's happening with AI, but we're the humans that create all of the genius behind AI. And I say that because we actually do contribute to that. Every time we click a button on the internet, we're contributing to the genius of AI. So it wasn't just genius on its own, it's because of all of the information it has been able to absorb, to be able to analyze, to be able to use. So I want you to think about that and think about just how powerful you really are. I want you to think about how amazing you are. And also think about how, a lot of times we hear these terms around manifesting. I really want you to think about your capacity to bring forward what it is you strongly desire. And we do it all the time, but we just don't think about it. So I want you to think about that as a gift that you actually have, an enhancement to your life, and a tool to use. So let's get into our morning. Go ahead and close your eyes, get whatever you need. If you want to keep your eyes open, that's cool too. Text, invite a friend to join us, and we're going to go in. So, week one, we were picking something that we were going to go forward with the 14-day challenge, right? The 14-day challenge was going to start like this. We were going to find ourselves that when something happens, that's a blank, instead of blank, which is our usual reflex response, instead, I will. Okay? So that was what we were going to do. So I want you to reflect on that. And my question for you is, how's that going? How's it going? Because some of you may have found that when you make a decision, that's the big part. We talked about that in the exit strategy, just simply making the decision, making the call. And what we discover in this practicum period, this apprenticeship, what we discover is that deciding to change and living differently are two different things. Maybe some of you recognize that. And so, with that in mind, um, we recognize that in this experiment, this 14-day enter experiment, that there may not have been anything dramatic that occurred. We found one pattern, we implemented one tiny plot twist, and then we had a different response from what we usually would, right? So, but even just the notion of it, some of you did it. Some of you actually practiced, some of you actually got on the court and did it. And then some of you did it a little bit, maybe occasionally, sometimes when you had the opportunity and it all met and made sense together. And then some of you, let's be honest, just completely forgot what you said that you were going to do by Wednesday. Remember, we were going to take a step by Wednesday. we're going to take a step. We were going to have at least the step of what that sentence would look like. And then somebody probably just remembered this morning when you got the reminder that when you knew you were coming back here, you're like, oh shoot, oh man, I was supposed to do something before this week, and I don't even remember what it is. Well, don't beat yourself up. Hold up. Don't get out of sorts. Don't go down the guilt trail. Don't start scrambling. That's not what this recollection is about. It really is just to welcome you to behavioral change. That's it. Take a deep breath in. Hold that breath. Hold it as long as you can, and then let it out. Let's do that two more times. Take a deep breath in and hold it as long as you can. That one was super long for me. So we're gonna go ahead and assume that you got your other two in. So today I don't want to give you another thing to work on. We're going to work with the one thing that you've already done. That's what we're going to work on. The one thing that you've already done. So let's run that back. Take out your paper and write down the behavior that you chose last week. If you can't remember, just write down a new one. One behavior that you wanted to change, that you wanted to shift away from, that you wanted to enter. Well, it wasn't the behavior, but it was the result that you wanted. We were going to work through how to get there. So maybe that thing, and let me give it to you again. The formula here is when blank happens, instead of blank, I will blank. Now, I want you to reflect back on what you chose and ask the question. First of all, did I do it? Did I do it? And even this applies if you did it once. If you did it once or twice, when was it easiest to do? What was the environment? What was the setting? Maybe it was easiest to do when you were at home versus at work. Maybe it's easier to do at work versus at home. Maybe it's easier to do on the weekend than the weekday. Maybe it's easier to do when you're alone versus with whatever that thing was. When was it easiest? And then when did I go right back to my old behavior or that temptation or that automaticity? There's no judgment here. We're just collecting data. We're just going back so we can implement another component to our process because change is a process. It's not an event. So maybe you said when somebody asks me for something, I'm going to stop giving an immediate yes. And maybe on Monday, sweet, it was fresh. You had that. Maybe it was a let me check my calendar. That was as far as you could get with it. You couldn't say no. Let me check my calendar. Let me get back with you, whatever. And then Maybe by Tuesday, you're like, okay, look at me, look at me. But then something happened. Maybe a relative called, or your boss asked for something that was emergent, and or your mom says that, I really need you to do this now. Stop what you're doing. And somehow all that new behavior went straight out the window, right? And that's kind of what happens when we're entering something or place that's new and different. And it just happens. It happens to me. It happens to, I mean, it just happens. It's human behavior. So let's run that back a little bit on the element of human behavior. And let's look at how change actually works. There's this framework in psychology, um, sociology, um, physiology. It's really adaptable to any industry and any setting. And this is one that we are taught early on in our behavioral health training. And it's called the theoretical model of change. Actually, it's the trans theoretical model of change. Trans was added because we realized that there was this pan effect that leads to transformation, trans theoretical model of change. But don't worry about it. I'm not going to give you a whole dissertation lecture about this model of change, but I'm going to use these components to make it make sense to you because there's literally pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, then there's mastery and maintenance, and then relapse was added later as well. So I'm gonna make it plain for you though in what we're thinking about these stages, so to speak. So pre-contemplation, you're not even thinking about it, not even on your radar. It is not something that you see it as an issue. A lot of times when something like this occurs, and we use this for smoking cessation, alcohol use, we use it for anger management. There are a lot of ways that this can be a useful model and tool. So in this case, just not even thinking about it. So sometimes this becomes, it comes into your awareness because someone else may have mentioned it. Someone may have mentioned something. For example, I have a staff member, a team member, an employee that works in my office. And every time there's something that um, I mention to her or something that I may say to her, remember to do this the next time. And she's, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm so sorry. And it's so reflexive for her. It's like deep sorrow, like way more sorrowful and apologetic than this circumstance has called for. Like, it's not that serious. But what I recognize about her, and without overanalyzing her and all of the things, is that's a habit that comes from a place that used to apply in her, perhaps her upbringing or in her previous relationships, that she had that kind of burden that didn't allow her to simply be able to, you know, move forward without overly owning something that was not that big of a deal. Maybe there was some punishment or things like that were in the past. But the point being, she's not thinking about that. It's not in her awareness. She doesn't really see it as a problem. So sometimes things like that someone may have said to you, they may have mentioned to you, why do you come in a bad mood? It's like every time you come in, you're in a bad mood. And you may not have noticed it because it may not to you be a bad mood. It just may be your morning face or your morning look or whatever it is, but people notice and you don't think it's a problem. So there's a pre-contemplation. That's how that comes about. the more commonplace that we enter into this model of change is when we're thinking about it. That means we're aware of it. We just haven't taken any action, didn't have any direction, didn't know how to approach it, didn't realize that this was something that required multiple steps. We think about cold turkey, and cold turkey has the best results, but it's the least effective for the majority of people. So sometimes you're just thinking about it. This isn't working anymore. And then there's that time when you say, okay, I'm getting ready to do this. I know that I am a mini hoarder. Let's just be honest. I got stuff that's sitting around that I haven't used. I'm not going to use. It's been here for a decade. It's taking up space. It's taking up um, mental space. It's taking up clutter. My home is like a mausoleum, and I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to let people come over because stuff is everywhere. I don't feel, happy to be at home. I feel, or whatever it is. I'm giving these just examples of you recognize it and now ready to do something. That's the preparation. That's the getting ready. I'm ready to do something. So maybe something looks like, let me grab some contractor bags and let me start in one room. Let me let me s- invite a friend over, somebody that I trust to help me just get started. So there's that preparation, two steps, no action yet, but it's the preparation to take the action. And then there's doing it, where I'm actually cleaning this stuff up. Every week, I got a new bag filled. Every week, I got you know, I've shifted my attitude when I come into work. Every week, I come in consciously. I'm gonna come in with a smile, and I'm gonna remind myself throughout the day. I put timers on my watch to make sure that I can check my demeanor, because I don't want that anymore. I don't want people to think I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to look like resting bitch face every time somebody wants to approach me. So there's that way of saying, what am I going to do? And then actually begin to change the behavior. That's the doing phase. Nike said, just do it. You done thought about it. You done prepared for it. Put your shoes on and start walking in the morning. Okay, let's make it real again. Doctor told you you need to lose some weight. You're like, I didn't really realize I needed to lose that much weight. I really didn't think it was because my knees was hurting because of my weight. Okay, you weren't thinking about it, but now you see the problem. And now you're thinking about it again because you don't want your knees to hurt. You don't want to have to buy new clothes. You don't want your blood pressure going up. You don't want to have to be on diabetic medicine. So you say, okay, this isn't working. This is contemplation. Now I'm gonna I'm gonna get me some tennis shoes. I'm gonna go to bed at night so that I can get up in the morning before I head out to work. First thing in the morning, I'm gonna walk for 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. And then there's that part, you just gotta hit the ground. You gotta get up, put the shoes on, and hit the door or get on the treadmill. You just got to do it. No excuses. And then once you get to that, there's this phase called maintenance where you have to keep it going. And this is the hard part for a lot of people. I tell people when they come into my office, I can get the weight off of you. Don't underestimate me, baby. I can do it. What we're gonna have to work on is the maintenance, because this is when I'm now leaning on you more than you're leaning on me. Is when we go into maintenance. So you got to stay connected. And this is the part that becomes a part of how we live. This is the part that's not novel anymore. It's not experimental. It's not cute. This is the part where the rubber hits the road. But let's talk about this final part that was added, which is relapse in our term, but we're just gonna call it slipping. One of my team members, one of my employees, who always asks patients, "Did you have any slip ups?" So we're gonna think about slip ups, and it's hilarious. It's like a one of those words that you just don't want to hear, but you know it's coming. So it's like you did the old thing again. That's often where people will misunderstand how change works. You think I decided, I've been doing real good, and then all of a sudden something triggers you, or the guard falls, or you're not prepared and you got to make a split decision. And then next thing you know, it's like, dang, I'm back to the same old thing. So there's this concept that we think I decided it, so it just should be happening. It just should be done. But no, it doesn't work that way, y'all. You decided, which is good. It's the first step. We got to keep taking the other steps. You have to practice. Practice, 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 practice. I have a friend, she and I were talking about some behavioral things and some areas that I wanted to see some difference in my marriage. And there's this tendency that I have to kind of have this same approach is let me just, take the reins. Let me just get it done. Let me just be the lead. Let me make everything, happen the way that I want it to happen. And we had this conversation. She didn't say anything that day, but the next day she sent a message and said, "Hey, let's talk. I have some feedback after reflecting on how you were going to approach things. Let's chat." Chatted it up. And she brought some insights into it that really held me accountable to some of my old behaviors and my old approach and my old way of taking the bull by the horns. But I had committed to a new way. I had committed to a new way. And she held me accountable. She reminded me, this is kind of slipping into what you're accustomed to. And remember, you decided a new way. And I had to eat it. I had to sit with it. And it didn't take me long because I'm not a person that I go and I lean in. I run into the fire these days. I've learned to, you know what, if I'm gonna heal it, let me go on with the alcohol on the wound and get it done. I'm not, I'm at a stage now where give me my lumps and I'll take them. So I was able to take that, pray about it, reflect, look at how it was starting to happen. And then I had to ask myself, how did I get here again? What was the trigger that got me back to this type of behavior, this type of auto response? What was it? Because a lot of times we want to put that on other people. I came in today with the intention of being in a good mood, and somebody pissed me off. They asked for it and they got it, you know? People don't control us like that. It's our commitment. It's our consistent commitment to what we said that we were going to do. So thank God for the accountability partners, the sisters that'll just tell you, look, you have those you call them their rah-rah and you could do, slap, okay, y'all, And then there's those that are just saying, hey, that's not aligned with what you said. Your choice. This is not aligned with what you said. And that's what we do in this group for each other. At least I hope that's what we do. Kind of, sort of. You let me know. You're quiet this morning. Can I get something back? Can I get something back? I know I'm a little subdued today too, because I'm hoping that my Wi-Fi will act right. Can y'all give me some? Is this landing? Give me some claps, some hearts, some stars, some thumbs down. Let me know if you picking this up. Come on, give me something, y'all. Give me something. I know some of y'all are probably in your classrooms or you're working or you at your desk and you can't be too animated. Some of you may be driving or whatever, but let me know if we hitting on something. Let me know, let me know, let me know. Okay, okay, okay. Because I'm just going in. I'm not even really, I'm in my zone. But let's make this plain. Let's make this plain, the boundary. Okay, so you decided you're not going to automatically say yes. We're going to use this example. I want y'all to put something in the chat though, so that I can use some examples from some people in the room. Give me anybody made a decision this week? Anybody decided? What was it? Tell me somebody that just, let's get on the floor with it. Thank you. Okay, good. I'm heading somewhere. Okay, good, 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 good. Somebody give me an example of what you had in mind that you were gonna, start stumping the head on. Come on. Somebody, just give me a one word in the chat. Give me one word, something that you were going to. Okay, not automatically saying yes. Okay, good, 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 good. I got this. So let's say, for example, you were saying, okay, I'm not automatically saying yes anymore. That's my default. It's easy. Sometimes I say it before I've even thought about what they ain't even got the question out yet. You don't even know the when, what, where, and how. I was watching this, somebody sent a post on Instagram and it was your point of view, you calling your travel buddy, and she's like, "Hey, girl, I was thinking about a trip. Okay, count me in. Okay, you don't even know where we're going yet. It don't matter. Just tell me how much money I need to send you and when I'm in the city. Girl, it's we going to Paris and it's 50. Okay, I already sent you the money. Like she moved it just like that. It was funny, and we do know people who do that, but it's so automatic that we say yes that you haven't even thought about, do I have a conflict with that? What other stuff do I have going on? Is there something else I'd rather be doing during that time? I've already traveled or had 3 weekends where I was working on a project. I wanted that. You're not even thinking about that. It's just an automatic yes. You don't know the what, when, how much, what energy, effort, treasure, time, talent is going to be required. It's just they called you. They know you're the go-to person. They know you're going to get it done. They know it's going to be done in excellence. They know they don't have to go back and forth. They know they don't have to pay you an honorarium. They know you don't charge a speaker's fee if it's a girlfriend that called and asked for it, or, like, okay, you're getting it. So someone asks you to do it and you would. What about if you just simply pause? That's the part that's just setting the boundary and the boundary is to yourself. The boundary is to protect you. It's not so much just to keep others out. It's to keep you safe. So if we have a fence, a gate, a guardrail, the guardrail is to keep you safe. It's not just for so think about that. So somebody calls, hey girl, I need you to, what you doing? Oh, I'm just saying, okay. First of all, I didn't even say, is this a good time to talk? I guess if you answer, they assume that. But anywho, then they say, well, can you, I need so and so. And I know you always do this, da da da, and you're so good at it. So I was wondering, can you just take that part? Because girl, those folk are not committed. They don't know what they're doing. If you could just knock it out for me, that would be great. See what I just did? Silence. That may be the simple change. That's change. However, you might be like, you did that once or twice, but then they hit you while you were busy, hit you up, and you're like, girl, what? Just tell me what you need. I need you to so. Okay, yeah, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I got you. And next thing you know, you get off and you like, you really start thinking about it. You like, I just said yes to something I don't even know if I really want to do it or not. Not can you. We got to start thinking, do we want to do it? Not can you do it. You're very capable. That's why they asked you. Is this aligned with what I have for myself, for my life? And so sometimes we do go back and forth, and that's okay. That's part of change. And I want you to not dig into yourself because the question isn't, why am I still doing this? Because in my scenario, I could have said to myself, girl, why are you still doing this? Why are you still defaulting back to that stuff that we said we weren't going to do? Why are you still just acting like, why are you still approaching it like that? We don't have to say, why am I still doing this? Here's a better question, I think. Try this out. Try this on. Ask yourself now, what happened that made my old response easy again? Because that's the part where the deeper change is not, it's becoming a a commitment within. It's becoming a part of who we are. It's not just a check box on the calendar saying, "Oh, I walked, I walked, I walked, I walked, I walked." And then, you're not walking. Okay, Wednesday. Okay, okay, let me make it a little bit more real. I'm switching gears now. Y'all gotta follow me because I'm giving scenarios. I want this to hit. You decided you're gonna start walking after work. Monday, walked. Tuesday, walked. Wednesday, rain, no walk. Thursday, just tired. Friday, well, I'll start over again on Monday. I done messed up already. Hold on. Why does missing Wednesday have to lead into missing Thursday? And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Why, why the slippery slope? You just missed a walk. Now, I'm gonna go in real Dr. Jada fashion and go back to if it rained on Wednesday, then you should have been trying to get on the treadmill, or you could walk in place. You can walk around the inside of the mall. Doesn't matter to me, but get to walking, get to stepping, get to stepping, get to stepping in my Martin voice. But let's just say it happened that way. Whatever happened. But every day thereafter, that's how we fall back into our old patterns. That's how that automaticity of behavior takes over. And before you know it, you're back to the same thing. That's how it happens. And in this case, you missed a walk, one walk. That's all that happened. So don't turn one missed behavior into a whole story about who you are and what you can do. Don't do that. We won't make progress that way. That's self-deprecating. And the opposite of that is self-actualization. And you can do it. You have to practice. There are a lot of things in our lives that we think should be automatic. They should be natural. That's what I thought about breastfeeding the first time. Why was that so hard? Why was that so hard? Like, God made us this way. We should naturally just be able to have an easy latch and breastfeed and da 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 da. Everything that is natural ain't easy. But with practice, I got it, baby. I got it. And I was able to nurse three children for 1 year each. What if I had given up? What if I had said, this is too hard? This is not gonna work. I ain't got it in me. I ain't got that type of boobs. Whatever, my baby gonna starve to death. At one point we kind of did think it was, but because I refused to give in. Because I knew I could do it. So don't let one missed behavior turn into a story about who you are. Let me give you this scenario while we're at scenarios, making this real life, getting us on the court. Let's say you decided, and this one was a hard one for me, and I still have to practice this one. I kid you not. The phone. Let's say you decided you're not starting your morning with the phone anymore. It's not healthy. It's not the best way to start our day. It's very, very intrusive and very derailing. You cannot set your own intentions for the morning if the first thing you see is somebody else's world, whether that's through a text, an email, a social media post, the news. You cannot successfully own and command your day when the first thing that you enter into in the morning is somebody else's world. So I know that. And let's say You decided you're not starting your morning with the phone anymore. Been doing really, really well, been doing very well. But then your phone has alerts. Ding, ding, ding. And you can't resist. Habit, habit, habit. And that one morning you pick up just to see what the notification is for. And then 30 minutes later, you're on Instagram, checking emails, looking at what happened overnight in some other part of the world, going ahead and knocking out these text message responses. There you are, back into the old pattern. And what happens next really matters more than the slip. And this is how you're going to catch it. This is how we're going to continue to stay moving forward. We're going to take our slip and turn it around. Is the moment you recognize it, put the phone down. Start again right now, not tomorrow. Not Monday, right now. Put the phone down. You get up, out of habit, you start scrolling, you realize I said I was not going to do this. Put it down. And even in some cases, I've just said a prayer like, okay, okay, God, I broke my plan to not get up and be into other people's world at the beginning of the day. So I want to reset. I want to do over. I want to refresh. I want to reboot. I want to cancel out everything that just came into my universe in an untimely way. I want to reset that. Okay. So let me just meditate 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Let me just go into a moment of complete silence. Let me clear anything. And it takes time. It takes intention to just breathe in and out, to settle myself back into the present moment of my own life and just start over again. Just start over again, right then and there. So as we get ready to close out, where are you? Where's your behavior from last week? Where are you today? Are you still thinking about it? Are you still in contemplation? Are you preparing? Are you getting ready? Are you actually doing it? Have you moved on to the doing phase? Are you at a point of maintaining? I doubt it because it takes a little bit of time. Do you find that you slip back? Listen, one of the worst things you can do is to pretend that you are further along than you are. If you're still thinking about it, just say that. If you're still preparing, just say that. If you're doing it, but it's inconsistent, just say that. Because you can't work with where you pretend to be. It's not gonna, you that that's one, you cannot fool yourself. You can only work with where you actually are. So nobody's judging you but you. You got to answer to you on these things. You are the judge and the jury, right? So the most important thing that I want you to get is that it's not, I told you just start from the moment, start from the moment, start from the moment. But this is what I want you to look at, that reset, that refresh, that reboot that I described. And this may be your whole lesson today is we have this really strange relationship with starting over. That's why we can always say, let me start over on Monday. We feel like we need to put some distance between what didn't work and how somehow Monday is going to make it work. Somehow January 1st, we just flubbed it. You know what? I'll just start over January 1st because these holidays done killed me, baby. Or I'll just start over next month because I got a lot of stuff on my plate to clear off my plate. So I'll just start next month. I'll start over. It was evident that I started too soon. So I'm gonna just start when I get this other stuff off my plate or after vacation. That's when I'm gonna really get my workout in. I'm gonna start really doing right after vacation because, girl, I was trying to do it before vacation. I ain't losing no weight, but anyway, I'm gonna just listen. When things settle down, that's when I'll get into this because right now stuff is all over the place. Nope. Sometimes you don't need to start over. You just need to continue. Okay? This is what I want y'all. This gonna take it to the bridge. Sometimes you don't need to start over. You just need to continue. You ate one thing, okay, the next thing you put in your mouth, be on point. You skip the workout, okay, next thing you do, get it in. You said yes and you meant to say no, call them back. Don't do that no more. Catch the next one. You stayed up too late. You said you weren't going to do that. You were going to bed. Okay, tonight, get into bed. However later you went, get into bed that much earlier. You went to bed an hour later, get into bed. Okay, you were supposed to be in the bed at 10 and you went at 11. Guess what? Get into bed at 9 tonight. How about that? You spent the money that you intended to save. Okay, that's it. Cut off. No more. Stop making one imperfect choice so powerful that it cancels out every good choice that came before it. That's when you get discouraged and throw in the towel completely. Change requires practice, repetition, consistency, not perfection. So look at your behavioral challenge, your thing, your one thing, your plot twist. Look at that for this week and ask yourself, was it too big? Was that what made it difficult? What was it? Was the cue unclear? Was I unsure when to do what? Did you just plain old forget? Put yourself a reminder, put a sticky on your mirror in the morning. Did I have a backup plan? If it rained, what was I going to do? Now make that one adjustment. Just make the adjustment, not 5, 10, 15, and throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. Just plot twist. If you couldn't work for 30 minutes or walk for 30 minutes because you just haven't been walking, just walk for 10. If mornings don't work for you, try it at lunch. If that's too hard, do it in the evening. If you can't say no right away, say, let me get back with you. If you have trouble with your phone and you can't live with it out of the room, put it across the room, not beside your bed. Make it adjust to what you're working towards. And just changing that one strategy could make all the difference. Not abandoning the whole thing, it's just change strategy a little bit. So this week, I want you to keep going. No new behaviors, no new trackers, no new assignments. Just keep going. So when blank happens, instead of blank, I will. And if I slip, this is the add-on portion, I will blank. Come on, we got this. If I slip, I can pick up from that slip up and keep moving forward. And that's what we have to do for ourselves. How to stay with ourselves while we're changing. That's what we're learning here. Take a deep breath. You don't have to prove that you can start. Maybe this is just the time to prove to yourself that you can continue. So let us come in for an inhale and a fast exhale. Let's come in for a slow inhale and a fast exhale. One more slow inhale and fast exhale. And I want that fast exhale to represent how quickly we're going to regroup and continue. Same cue, new response. We may have a little slip. We're going to adjust and then we will continue. That is how we enter. So we've made it another step. Let's give ourselves a clap there. If you want to clap with your chat emojis, you can clap with your chat emojis. That's how we enter, my friends. That is how we enter. So as always, as we close out this morning, thank you for joining me I'm Dr. Jada, your weight loss and wellness expert, physician, coach, speaker, author, and entrepreneur. I help high achieving and results driven women to not only weigh less, but to further your personal success. And I get to be here with you in this community, not as your leader, but as your guide, as your facilitator, as the voice in your ear that tells you, yes, you can do it, one exhale at a time. So as you leave here today, I want you to carry less and live lighter. This community is behind you. Until next time, my friends, until next week, slip, adjust, and continue. All right, let me see if I can get this music going again. I was supposed to play this one. Thank y'all for being here. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful week.